Welcome back, everyone. There we go. Yes, nice, quick, short, sharp intro today. And we're here, we're live. And on the screen, you can see what's going to be happening later on the Kev Baker Show. We've got our good friends on tonight. We have got Scotty Lopez and Kevin Nacy. Man that goes by so many names. He is the man that makes it Kevin Squared on today's KBS. So the three amigos will be on later today, and Kevin wants to get into Osiris X. I've called it that. It's, of course, a shout out to the recent mission that NASA have been undertaking, and we'll be talking about all of that tonight. So how you all doing out there? I think we'll go into the chat room. Cheryl was first in the chat today. Big up to you. Sidvich dropping some unicorns. I put that emoji in there just for you, Sid. I did. And if you want to access our very unique emojis, all you have to do is click the membership button and you can be part of the madness. So we've got Polly in there. Remember, check out One Polly Nation's channel. I still need to check it out, dive through it, look for some music that we can use here on the stream, thanks to Polly. We have got Brassneck. Good to see you. Bearded. Still looking beardy. We've got Jules. We have got St. Marionette. Scrolling on down. Watermen's. Can't manage to last till the start of the stream, and that's on me, Water. I got a bit delayed. I was doing stuff in the house, and I had to put back the time, and my football team were on the TV, and they're getting beaten 2-0 by AC Milan, so now's a good time to start streaming, I'm telling you. We got ZX in there. We got Donnie all the way from Australia. Jose Ramon Francis. Gemini Moon. Great name. ZX again. Rose. Little Glob. How you doing, Little Glob? And Targeted in Ireland. Okay. Sorry, it was just a message from Kevin. I'm just going to check what he says here. Give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I know, it's bad drills, but I think you can all appreciate. I think you all know, our good friend Kevin here. So it's only taking a quick second there to get back to him, so he's not sitting waiting. I'm going to drop him a link to this stream as well. I'm sure he'll want to head on over and check out what we're doing here, because I have got some good stuff for us today. I'm quite excited about this. The reason I'm excited is, oh, what have I done? Dearie me. There we go. Yeah, the reason I'm excited is because we're going to be talking about AI, and a very specific type of AI. Not one that's going to take over the world, but one that could maybe add to yesterday's story and unlock secrets from the past. Because I've got a story here. This is where I first came across it. MIT invents an AI to decipher ancient languages. Now, in one hand, I'm really, really positive about this. I'm really excited. But on the other hand, it comes with a caveat. I'll give you that at the end. And if we go to MIT actual website over here, translating lost languages using machine learning. System developed at MIT, CSAIL, aims to help linguists decipher languages that have been lost to history. So, with that said, remember what me, the unprofessional, untrained, unqualified, uneducated guy on AI says all the time? I always talk about how it is absolutely at its best when it's looking for patterns, finding patterns that we perhaps have never put together ourselves in the past. And that, for me, when we're talking about some of these ancient texts, in one hand, I'm thinking this is amazing. We could literally see some lost languages that we have no idea relate to, what they're talking about, what may be within them. We may actually crack them open. But the reason I'm also a bit worried about this is because how on earth's name are we meant to stress test the veracity of whatever it is it translates? Because we ourselves, we've got no idea what these languages say. So when an AI comes along, and given the fact that we can't see how it reaches the interpretation it gets to, and I get how they train it, they'll show ancient languages, they'll show the mathematics involved, they'll show the relationship between words and symbols. I get all that. But when it spits out its final text, how do we know that's accurate? Or how do we know it could be absolute gibberish? You see what I'm saying? But I'm not going to go all pessimistic and doom and gloom, because like you obviously know out there by now, I can look at technology both ways. And there's some things about AI that we just can't get away from. Example, the other day a lady won a AI competition. It was a prize. And she won that because she had come up with a way, she had used machine learning to help doctors and oncologists diagnose skin cancers months earlier than what would typically happen. And how anyone can argue that that's a bad thing, I don't know. But everyone has their own opinion. So if we get into this here, recent research suggests that most languages that have ever existed are no longer spoken. Dozens of these dead languages are also considered to be lost or undeciphered. That is, we don't know enough about their grammar, vocabulary, or syntax to be able to actually understand their texts. Lost languages are more than a mere academic curiosity. Without them, we miss an entire body of knowledge about the people who spoke them. Unfortunately, most of them have such minimal records that scientists can't decipher them by using machine translation algorithms like Google Translate. Some don't have a well-researched relative language to be compared to, and often lack traditional dividers like white space and punctuation. To illustrate, and it puts this, imagine trying to decipher a foreign language written like this, and they've got it all in one word. So here we're talking about lost languages. We might not even know the people that spoke them, and yet somehow this AI, and I'm not saying it can't do this, I actually do think it might have a chance of doing it. It might unlock some of these secrets, some things that we've never had access to before. That's pretty cool, right? It's pretty cool, but I get it. It comes with the potential for them to tell us just about anything, doesn't it? And what did I say yesterday? What did I say yesterday about the sarcophagi? Or hang on.
Sarcophagi.
Did you hear him there?
Sarcophagi.
We've got Jimmy doing his sarcophagi as a sound clip now. The only thing is, here's the caveat. What an amazing potential for any bad, nefarious actor out there involved in the loop to tell us that these texts tell us anything. I was talking about how one part of the alleged Project Bluebeam, fake alien invasion, whatever way you want to talk about it, it talks about in the early stages archaeological discoveries, information being uncovered that rewrites history and causes people to stop and question their own belief systems, right? So imagine if we find that contained within one of these ancient lost languages, it tells us a different story about where we came from, who we are, and where we're going. Now, again, this is the back of Speculation Island stuff because I'm just using my brain, and what our brains do is they see a headline like that and it goes Tonto, and I extrapolate way out to the farthest part of Speculation Island, but in no way am I telling you that this is going to happen. Remember, in the end of the day, I'll give you my opinion. I'll give you my little take on it. I'll maybe tell you where I'm a little worried about things, where I'm a bit meh, iffy. But it's all on you. It's what you think. It's what you look into after I give you this and what you decide. That's what you'll hold to be true. That's why there's about 7 billion different versions of the truth out there in the world right now. And you wonder why 2020 is looking a bit crazy? Yeah, just have a look at that. So if we come back here, it says, however, researchers at MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Laboratory recently made a major development in this area. A new system that has been shown to be able to automatically decipher a lost language without needing advanced knowledge of its relation to other languages. They also showed that their system can itself determine relationships between languages, and they used it to corroborate recent scholarship suggesting that the language of Iberian is not actually related to Basque. I need to stop there for a moment. A new system that has been shown to be able to automatically decipher a lost language without needing advanced knowledge of its relationship to other languages. Oh boy, would I love to have been a fly on the wall of that computer lab when this thing started spitting out translations to things where really it hasn't been trained to kind of look at it by the sound of it. Okay? Now, the team's ultimate goal is for the system to be able to decipher lost languages that have eluded linguists for decades using just a few thousand words. Spearheaded by MIT professor Regina Barzelli, the system relies on several principles grounded in insights from historical linguistics, such as the fact that the languages generally only evolve in certain predictable ways. That whole predictability thing, now I can see, and I hope now you can see why maybe the AI can come into this. For instance, while a given language rarely adds or deletes an entire sound, certain sound substitutions are likely to occur. A word with a P in the parent language may change it to a B in the descendant language, but changing it to a K is less likely due to the significant pronunciation gap. So this is all broken down into maths and the relationships between syllables, sounds, and it's all based on how they've looked at how other languages have evolved. So now we can see the data set. We can probably see ancient Greek in there, bit of Sumerian, all the ones that we do kind of know about. Then it's been able to look at that and it's found those patterns. It's seen how they relate to each other. And perhaps now we're getting closer to seeing how maybe this is doing this. If it can see the same patterns, the same relationships. But again, how do we truly know? How do we truly know that it's right? By incorporating these and other linguistic constraints, Barzeley and MIT PhD student Jiming Lau developed a deciphering algorithm that can handle the vast space of possible transformations and scarcity of a guiding signal in the input. The algorithm learns to embed language sounds into multidimensional space where differences in pronunciation are reflected in the distance between corresponding vectors. Now, this design enables them to capture pertinent patterns of language change and express them as computational constraints. Now, I know it's getting a bit deep here, and I think probably a bit too deep for even me, what it's talking about here, some of the maths. Multi-dimensional vectors and things? Come on. So it says the project builds on a paper that Barzeley and Liu wrote last year that deciphered the dead languages of Ugaritic and Linear B. I don't even remember ever talking about that. And you would think at some point new languages or old languages being decoded? I'm not saying it wasn't spoken about, but it's the first time I've heard of it. The latter of which had previously taken decades for humans to decode. However, a key difference with that project was that the team knew that these languages were related to early forms of Hebrew and Greek, respectively. With the new system, the relationship between languages is inferred by the algorithm. You see, this is why I'm a bit skeptical. And it's not that I'm saying it can't do it accurately, but we're relying on multi-dimensional connections and patterns and links between things that we've got no idea about. And we're just going to trust it to give us this translation. What if it says the aliens came down on the first day? You see what I'm talking about? You see how this could be used for a whole host of things? It's still pretty interesting, right? It says, this question is one of the biggest challenges in decipherment. In the case of linear B, it took several decades to discover the correct known descendant. And for Iberian, the scholars cannot agree on the related language. Some argue for Basque, while others refute this hypothesis and claim that Iberian doesn't relate to any known language. So the proposed algorithm can assess the proximity between the languages, and in fact, when tested on known languages, it can even accurately identify language families. The team applied their algorithms to Iberian, considering Basque, as well as less likely candidates from Romance, Germanic, Turkic, and Uralic families. While Basque and Latin were closer to Iberian than any other language, they're still too different to be considered related. It's like talking about the missing link, isn't it? We're looking for these links between like the evolution of language, and there's a big chunks missing here and there. In future work, the team hopes to expand their work beyond the act of connecting texts to related words in known language, an approach referred to as a cognate-based decipherment. Now, this paradigm assumes that such as known texts or known language exists, but the example of Iberian shows that this is not always the case. The team's new approach would involve identifying semantic meaning of the words, even if they don't know how to read them. For instance, we may identify all the references to people or locations in the document, which can be further investigated in light of the known historical evidence. And these methods of entity recognition are commonly used in various text processing applications today and are highly accurate. Bloody blah, bloody blah. Look, end of the day, folks, I'm going to ask you what you guys out there think, you guys and girls, because you can kind of get where I am here. I think I can see how this could be a thing and how they could do it and how they could use it to decode, decipher these super secret lost ancient languages. Maybe some Atlantean will come up. I mean, how do we know if they tell us, well, we've deciphered that this must be the Atlanteans, and they're telling us that don't get triggered here. Don't get triggered, anyone. I'm telling you, I'm speculating what they might say. They might take God out of the equation. You see how this could turn into something that plays into the Project Bluebeam after all, when you come to the back of my mind in Speculation Island. But in the end of the day, it could be exactly what it says in the tin, and we should be happy that finally, after thousands of years, who knows how long in some cases, we're finally getting to find out what people just like us, allegedly, were saying way, way, way back in the day. And you can bet everything in your bank account, when they start to decode these ancient lost languages, we'll be there. We'll be taking a look at some of the woo that they spin when it's spat out by the AI. So I don't know. I don't know if this is definitely going to be a thing. I don't know if we can trust it. I would like to think it would be accurate. An example of another time that we've used AI in how would you put it? Archaeological, ancient kind of framework. Remember last year, and I do remember us covering this, archaeologists identify 143 new Nazca lines. Now, something like this, I can understand and I can definitely get how an AI could look at vast areas of the Nazca region and then start looking for patterns that humans haven't seen before. We haven't quite caught them with our naked eye. We haven't quite tuned into them. Our brains haven't connected them. And as you can see, it was good at that. So I get it. It can be a really, really revolutionary tool when it comes to unlocking the secrets of the past. But just how much can we trust it when it's decoding a language that none of us have any clue about? That's a lot of trust, right? That's a lot of faith. But again, we're going to have to be putting a lot of trust and faith in AI real soon because we've got cars on the roads now that are driving themselves. AI is becoming more and more intertwined in our lives every day, even if we don't see it and appreciate it. And I'm not here to tell you it's good or bad because everyone is going to have their own opinion. That's why I like it around here because we don't judge each other because we might have differences. I like to think we would tend to talk about them, even if we don't change our minds at the end of talking about them in the chat room. It doesn't matter. As long as we don't fall out over something like whether or not an AI can or cannot translate an ancient language. Time will tell. And in the end of the day, you know you've got me here. I'll guide you through that woo when it starts telling us about what the Atlanteans were doing, how we unlock the secrets of the universe, where we came from, what it's all about, where we're going, time travel, all of these things, right? Maybe John Teeter wrote one of these ancient languages. I don't know. I'm going to shove some music on, give you a chance to give me your thoughts. Tag me in the chat. I'll read it out, folks, and we will get into what I found out today thanks to Jason, our good friend Jason, First Paranormal. There's something on Twitter, and I think it's every Thursday. Maybe it's just this Thursday, I don't know. But it's called hashtag Folklore Thursday. And it's full of bunyips and beasties and creepies and all the kinds of things that we love to get into on here. So I'm going to be back in a minute, folks. Don't go anywhere. Remember, leave me your thoughts. What do you think of the AI? Is it going to decode it accurately? Or is it going to be one for it will decode it, two for pile of bunk? One, we decode the languages. Two, not for you. I like it. So one if it can do it, two if it can't, and I'll be in to see your comments in just a moment. Yeah, there he is, there's Kevin, he's in there. Kevin says, when the algorithms learn the Rosetta Stone, exponential rate of deciphering ancient cuneiform and other languages from the past. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. That's a good shout. You know, maybe looking at the relationships between the languages on the Rosetta Stone has given it that framework. It's realized or it's recognized that there are patterns between what seem like separate languages from separate times. There's a relationship. Good shout, Kev. Good shout. Donnie says with a grain of salt, absolutely. The context of the word changes, though. You have to understand what it meant to the culture to understand what is actually being communicated. You see, that's exactly the thing, digital. And I think that's a lot about the languages we do know. Even the ones from the Rosetta Stone. Even when we often talk about the Sumerian tablets and things like that. How do we know that these have been translated accurately? Because if it's people that have done it hundreds of years later, and then they've gone back to do it, then we don't have the context of the time. We'll probably put our time period, the context of times that we're living in, into that. So how accurate are any of these decoding or decipherings of any of these ancient languages? Who knows? I'm not saying they're all bunk. I'm not saying that, but digital makes a brilliant point. And that's something that must be really hard for an algorithm to do. We know it's really good at recognizing things, but nuances like that. You know, there's certain words that you can't say on YouTube, obviously. And that's the thing. An algorithm can't discern. It's very, very cold. It's very harsh. It hears it and it can't put it into context of even what we're saying in a modern language that it kind of understands. Or at least it, and you know how it does this, by the way, when it's doing the voice recognition and trying to match speech. It's not that it's literally listening to you. It watches the waveform. You know, when you produce an audio file and you've got the waveform, the sine wave, that's what it looks at. And it looks at the familiarity, what it matches up to, and the differences between them. And that's how it's not literally listening to you. It knows what a word looks like in its world. When it takes that MP3, that sine wave, and it translates it into whatever a machine learning algorithm does with it. And that's the black box problem, because we can't ever tell what's happening in there. It just gives us an outcome. So that's a good point, digital. Nazca is small. There are many more lines around the area. I agree with you, probably, ZX. And then what about maybe if there was lines beneath the lines that we see now? Who knows, man? Hello to Bella. Who else we got in here? So we've got a lot of people putting 1 and 2. It'll be up to interpretation. That's Greg. Brilliant. Leslie, this couldn't improve Bluebeam's scheme or be manipulated for a single New World Order language. Well, I don't think they're going to give us a new language. I think we're pretty much all getting round to English being quite common. But it can definitely play into their Bluebeam, Leslie. Imagine it. I think it's phase 1 of the Bluebeam alleged document. And this is what really cracks me up, because everyone usually says you can't trust NASA. Yet when it comes to Project Bluebeam, everyone tends to believe it's a factual document. But it was NASA. I thought we can't trust them. You see what I'm saying? You see. That's why I always add the caveat or the kind of prefix of alleged Project Bluebeam. I know it annoys people out there. I know it does, but it's just the way I look at it. What else we got in here? Cassie. If it can't do it now, it'll keep trying till it gets it. Cassie, that's the thing. Absolutely it will. But how do we know when it's right? How do we know when it's right? Because if we haven't ourselves deciphered it, then it's going to spit out its first decryption. And how do we test to see if that's right then? And I get it, it might not make sense, but how do we know that that wasn't exactly what they were saying back in the day? And maybe we just don't know what they were trying to say. It's weird. I don't know how they'll really... I get they can probably test it, right? By taking a language that we know and then asking it to basically try and use 2 of its source languages, its root languages, to see if it can come up with the same language that came off the back of it. That's the only way I can really think of you could test this. And even then, say it passes that test, that doesn't necessarily mean it's interpreting the unknown language right. I don't know, there's a whole lot of shenanigans could happen here. I don't know, it's up for shenanigans. Same reason why many question the Bible, not me, but it's a real argument. Hodgie, that's why. And this is what offends a lot of people, and it's why I call myself a quasi-Christian. That's why I've got problems with the Bible, brother. That and the fact that King James Version, that's like saying it's the NASA's version. We don't trust royalty as much as we trust NASA, right? So, no, I'm with you there. And that's, Hodgie, that's why people absolutely get triggered by me. They can't handle it. They think I'm some kind of... I don't know what they think. I wouldn't like to even think what they think about me. Let's see. Great, Hodgie. Even then, I still will not believe it unless there is someone who speaks that language. You see, that's the thing. There's nobody left. We got AI, says Donnie. To the left of me is a cup. How do you know what left is without a point of reference? Damn, ZX, you make me laugh. You try and make my head explode. It's like some kind of riddle that's set to put an AI into some kind of loop it can't get out of. It could work from all the languages. What the first language was, Karen. Yeah. You could work back in time. You could work backwards from knowing. And that's how they've trained this, obviously. It's looked at languages. It sees these mathematical connections. I mean, how many of you, when you're talking, think about what our speech looks like in a multi-dimensional space, kind of represented by numbers and vectors, and whoever knew? Whoever knew? But I know when I've looked into cryptography and stuff like that, this multi-dimensional math thing, I was crap at math in school, folks. Absolutely garbage at math in school. But when you're doing cryptography and things like that, you do start to appreciate that there's a hyper-dimensional relationship between numbers. Hey, it's only what I've heard. I can't tell you if it's right or not. It boggled my head. Beyond my level of thinking. You need to know what's left is before you can understand it. War in the chat room. War. Trying to give a big shout out to you and Lisa in particular. Absolutely much love to you both. Thank you. Connie, everything we understand needs a point of reference, right? Now, see, Connie, that's too intelligent a question for me. I can't even answer that. Hodgie, yes, but very little is known from back then. How pyramids were made, all of that stuff. So it's a guessing game. It is. Dead languages are the same principle. Yep. When it comes to the Bible, I take what resonates with me and leave the rest be. That's a brilliant way to do it. That's discernment. That's you literally taking it into the heart and trying to do it. You need to check out the Twilight Zone Series 2, Episode 6. Let's just say Antarctica and the octopus. Somebody sent me a story yesterday or the other day about an octopus in Antarctica. And it was like dated, I don't know, September or something. The only thing is, I remember that story from 2015. It's been doing the rounds forever. And I don't know, it appeared on one of these forums. And you know what I'm like with these forums? You know what I'm like. I'm a bit skeptical. Anyone coming to you with unnamed whistleblowers and super secret squirrels, you have to have a layer of skepticism, folks. You just do. I mean, we have to question everything we literally see with our eyeballs now, anywhere online with deep fakes and everything else. So I know I'm not a trusting sort. I used to be really naive, and I used to think everyone was out for the truth, to get us to the truth, but it's not like that. It's not. There's a lot of clickbaity stuff out there, a lot of it. Treat the Bible like a Stephen King collection. You know there is some good stuff there, but you gotta read a load of crap before you get to it. ZX is on fire today. I see the age of 44 is treating you well, ZX. You have definitely elevated that level of thinking, my friend. Yes, indeed. We are feeding the AI right now. There's always AI watching. Always. It's in the chat room. That's why some comments get held. That's why the moderators get asked, is this all right to show? It's watching, there's keywords, and it's not reading it. It's looking for that. It's looking at the pattern of a word. Stay at wondering. Great Hodgie says, some nights I stay at wondering if we are not just some sort of alien experiment. Not really anything. Yep. I'll tell you, Hodgie, I think we're in a simulation. And people say, well, you can't think we're in a simulation, that takes away God. Well, no, because somebody had to write the simulation. And I tell you what, if this is all like illusionary, which when you get into quantum world, a lot of our reality is, then that has to be some divine code, right? And if it's divine code, it came from a divine. So you see where I'm going. So don't you worry, Hodgie. Don't you worry about it, brother. We'll get there in the end. War says he has to come on with me sometime. Well, that sounds like it could be a show waiting to happen, for sure. More music on the background. We're a successful experiment in their eyes, says Sam. St. Marionette says, who is on KBS today? Well, I can tell you who's on KBS today. It is Thursday, so that means we've got Scotty. But today, no, we go three amigos. Because Kevin Shores, aka the Naysay, he is on with me, and we're talking about Osiris Hex. I know, it's a pretty poor play on words. It's pretty obvious to go for that one, but you know me. I didn't ever claim to be the most original tool in the box. Spooky Andy slipping in with some Cthulhu's and some UFOs, and I love it, man. I love it. Brilliant. Andy, big up to you, dude. Big up to you. And apologies for yesterday, man. Andy seen the very horrible, well, not the horrible, just very stressed side of Kev yesterday. I'm sorry, brother. Thank goodness you're here. I worried we might never see Andy again, but he's here. Niels Lars says, what the hell? I haven't been here for ages. Where you been, dude? Hope you've been keeping well, whatever you've been up to, Niels. Okay, so will we take a little look at Folklore Thursday? Big shout out to Jason, First Paranormal. Never heard of it until today. I seen him tweeting about it, and I thought, hang on now, what's this hashtag? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's a brilliant hashtag. Folklore Thursday. Like we just had something else pop up there. The Mistress of the Copper Mountain, or the Malachite Lady, is a mountain spirit from the Ural Mountains. She is revered for her magic and beauty. The patroness of miners, the protector of underground riches, she can permit or prevent the mining of stones and minerals. I tell you folks what this is. This is one big giant hashtag stream of woo. Next up, what's this about here? Remains of a 4,000-year-old Egyptian guide to the underworld discovered in 2019. The Book of Two Ways, a mystical roadmap to the ancient Egyptian afterlife. Never seen that before. This comes from News Network Archaeology last year by the looks of it. Remains of 4,000-year-old Egyptian guide to the underworld. When it comes to difficult travel, no journey outside New York City's subway system rivals the ones described in the Book of Two Ways. A mystical roadmap to the ancient Egyptian afterlife? Holy shimoly. This user's guide, a precursor to the corpus of Egyptian funerary texts known as the Book of the Dead, depicted two zigzagging paths by which scholars long ago concluded the soul, having left the body of the departed, could navigate the spiritual obstacle course of the underworld and reach Rosto, the realm of Osiris, the god of death, who has himself, or who was himself, dead. If you're lucky enough to get the go-ahead from Osiris's divine tribunal, you would become an immortal god. That's just one taste of what we've got here in this. Let's see what else we've got going on here. Oh, we lost a bit there. So, foreign animals were sometimes viewed as monsters. This page from the Arabic text, Wonders and of Curiosities and Creations of Existence, by Muhammad al-Kazini, or Kazwini. Horned rhino as a monster. See, there's some good stuff on here, folks. When troubled in mind, and Welsh would touch the stone over the chimney piece and throw a handful of dry earth into the fire. As it burns, they'd whisper the cause of their trouble to the flames, and this was supposed to avert any impending evil. Like that. Next up, we've got the Kappa. Anyone ever heard of the Kappa before? Never heard of the Kappa. The Kappa is a water-dwelling yokai with a taste for cucumber. While modern depictions are often cute and charming, this was a murderous creature. They will drag people underwater to drown them and steal their magical balls, said to be inside the human. Whoa! Up where the sun don't shine? Dang, dude. You ain't getting in there. What is that all about? So it says in Yorkshire, it said that to predict the first initial of a future partner, you should peel an apple in one strip, then throw it over your left shoulder. Whichever letter the peel forms is the initial of your future lover. Well, I would imagine most peel shapes are going to look like an O or a C, right? Because you kind of peel round it. I don't know about that one. Holy shamoly. What is that? A drog or a... Oh, it's Norwegian. A drog is a Norwegian ghost of someone who passed at sea. Arms and legs have become bloated, decomposed, or simply just fallen off. He usually appears in bad weather, sailing a half-wrecked ship, shouting and screaming and forewarning of really bad things. Take a look at that bad boy. I mean, he's not rocking the whole Ragnar Lothbrok kind of look that he got in the Vikings, the kind of new series that's on and everything. But dang, dude. See? There's that Norwegian connection. October 22nd, 1978. Pylons, an edutainment game, is officially banned from classrooms. Now, after 42 years, Pylons is again available. I've got no idea why that's anything to do with Folklore Thursday. Here we go. Well, that's looking Cthulhu-ish, right? Below the thunders of the upper deep, far, far beneath, is the abysmal sea. Is ancient, dreamless, uninvaded sleep. The Kraken sleepeth. Or as we say in Scotland, or only on KBS to be honest with you, the McCracken. Yep, the McCracken. There you go, there you are. Well, I'll show you what a McCracken looks like. Everyone's thinking, what the hell's a McCracken? I've got you covered. I've got it going. I've got it all going on here. Give me 2 seconds and I'll find you a McCracken. We made a McCracken on the members stream the other day. Yes, we actually sat and we made the McCracken. Where are you, McCracken? There it is. There's the McCracken. See? That's what a McCracken looks like. Admittedly, not quite the same as the Cthulhu here, but the McCracken, an equal beastie of much great power. Oh no. Oh, what is this one? Whoa, it's jumping everywhere now. Scroll up a bit. Whoa. The Tatakil, or Tatakila, is a race of monstrous owl women. What? By the time the Yakama Indians came to know them, there were only 5 left. They live in caves and enjoy really, really bad stuff. They lure in humans by mimicking their language.
I bet they don't sound like this.
No, I bet they don't sound like that. I bet they don't. So it says, beneath the roots of the world tree, the Norse dragon, Nidhogg, is said to spend time on the shores of corpses. Oh dear, this is really, really grim stuff here. The Manticore was a fearsome monster from ancient lore with a lion... 2 seconds. With a lionine body, a human face, and teeth like a shark. Though incapable of human speech, its voice sounded like a trumpet. It devoured people viciously, leaving nothing behind. Yum yum. Since it's Folklore Thursday, here's a reminder of our Halloween online event at 5 PM. Next, we've got folklorist Dr. Juliet Wood. You know I'm going to take a note of that name, right? Hey, she could be a future guest. Dr. Juliet Wood. There we go. When it comes to monsters that strikes fear in our hearts, oh boy, here we go. The Wendigo holds pride in place. According to the lore of the indigenous people of Canada, America, these possessed creatures supposedly hunger for human flesh. Wouldn't like to meet one on a dark night. Who'd want to meet one any time of day? I don't think it's like, it doesn't have a time limit. Oh, right, it's after 8 PM at night, I can go after people now. You don't want to be bumping into any of these things, alright? Wouldn't want to miss Folklore Thursday. Here's today's discussion of one of the rarest shallograms of all. The Prithu Shilla? Right, is this like Shilla lingams and things like this? I don't know. What is a Shilla? Yep, it's from Hindu by the look of it. There we go. From the Vedics. Prithu, lit, large, great, important, abundant, is a sovereign named in the Vedic scriptures of ancient India. According to Hindu mythology, he is an avatar, incarnation of the preserver god Vishnu. He's also called Pruthu, Pritha, and Prithu Vanya. Literally, Prithu, the son of Vina. Now, this rings a bell with the type of information that Max, remember Max who used to come on the show? And he is going to come back soon, folks. He's going to do a show on bloodlines. So, that's pretty weird though, right? A shallogram that I have personally only ever encountered face to face once. What else does it say here? That's a weird one though. Doom scrolling is one way to get scared this year, but we've got something a little better. How about an episode of Go Folk Yourself? Brilliant. Oh, I like that hashtag. Go Folk Yourself. FOLK algorithm. Poisoning dragons is a time-honored trick when the knights in shining armor fail to rise to the challenge of their swords. Okay. It says here, the lindworm at Marno, or Murno. A long time ago, the town of Murno used to be called Wormo, river place of the worm, in horror of the lindworm that used to live here, a beast that killed everything, humans, animals alike, and which no hunter could slay. Instead of defeating it in combat, someone finally had the idea of poisoning a calf and leaving it near the beast. That's like biological warfare. The dragon consumed the bait and perished. In honor of this event, the town of Murno still has a lindworm in its heraldic sign. Never heard of that. Or the Wendigo again. When I was making this image for my Myths in Isolation series, a good friend of, or who is Lakota Plains Apache, messaged me to warn me to take extreme care when making this image or thinking of him too much. I think I already felt that. I still do.
Sarcophagi.
Look at that thing. That is like, that looks like, I'm not being funny here, but that looks like half stag, half me. I mean, let's face it, I'm not built like the biggest guy in the world. I'm not saying I'm that skinny, but no, that doesn't look like me with a stag's head on, does it? A disturbing thought. Beware the Otleg, a Quatrian spirit who is said to take the shape of a smiling man wearing a tall hat. That's the Hat Man, is it not? If he catches you alone, he'll show you one of his big black teeth and lift his hat, revealing a pair of moth antennae, and he'll take you into the sky and flutter away. You see why I told you this whole hashtag Folklore Thursday thing was pretty weird and pretty good? What is that thing? Black Shuck is the name given to an unknown creature said to roam East Anglia. That's somewhere in Britain. Holy shamoly. Bringing really bad stuff to any poor soul that happened to meet it. Damn, dude. Who knew? Unfortunate indeed are those who are tormented by the wall rider while they sleep. What the heck's a wall rider? A wall rider? What are we dealing with here? There's a whole lot of things I didn't know I had to be scared of when I go to bed at night. But the malevolent spirit will paralyze you and then sit on their chest until they can scarcely breathe. This is in the realms of those succubi and incubi and
Sarcophagi.
nothing to do with sarcophagi, but it still sounded cool, right? It says here, a woman from the... And we'll do this one, and I'll need to wrap up because I've just noticed the time. A woman from the parish of Hall describes the plague as follows. Oh, the plague. Ooga booga. Because of those things, I left the service of the Mayor family, as I was constantly plagued by the Warrender, the Wallander, or sorry, the Wall Rider. Get it right. Wallander. That was a detective series that I watched years ago. Damn. So yeah, the Wall Rider in their house for 2 years. Only when there were heavy winds and rain outside did I get some quiet. When I moved away, the woman told me that the Wall Rider would follow me to the new household I was going to serve in. This did take place, but I was only bothered by her for a few times. Apparently, the way she was now too long for her. Okay? I've always clearly heard the Wall Rider approach. I never saw her. When she came, I first experienced soughing and roaring sounds in my ear. Then there were a few punches against my bedsheet. And then she had caught me. Then I could not move any of my limbs. I could not utter no sounds except for a slight whimpering. I had hardly any air left to breathe. I was so it sounded more like that. So I was overcome with such terrible dread. I sweated all over my body. I felt the pressure from my chest to my knees. I was terribly frightened. I frequently cried because of this. The Wall Rider not only visited me in the evening or during the night, but even ambushed me during the day. See what I told you? Cryptids, they don't stick to like some regimented time scale. You can't like say I'm okay before that 8 PM or 11:33. Wouldn't that be the time for the cryptids to come out, really? The Wall Rider not only visited me in the evening, right, we had that, but whether I was asleep or awake, in my bed or away from it, when I sat down in the main chamber in the evening and leaned my head on a cradle, she pulled me down as well. Those who were in the chamber with me also noticed this, and I could hear them say among each other that the Wall Rider is pushing her down again. So the Wall Rider's female, and it's attacking a female. I had thought, I had a different picture in my head. At another time, I was sleeping to the open field in the summer, and I felt that she wanted to drag me away. She wanted to heave me into the swamp. Sorry, Donald Trump will drag you out of there, right? When I was sleeping on my back, I was pestered far more than when I was laying on my side. So there you go. Go to sleep on your side tonight, folks. That's my top tip for the day. Don't listen to anyone that tells you you'll be alright before a certain time. Look at all these things. Supernatural tiger creature is said to guard Mount Bukit Raya in central Borneo. What's scarier than a dragon with one head? A dragon with 3 heads. This is Zmej Gornic, a monster from Slavic Belene. Whoa. Yippity yada. Yep. Don't tell the mother of dragons in Game of Thrones, she'll be wanting some of them. But with that said, folks, I need to jump on over now. I've got work to do. This doesn't feel like work, it's hanging out with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed some of the stuff we've looked at. I don't ask any of you to agree with anything I've said on AI or the beasties we looked at. I just hope I gave you something infotaining to help you escape some of the insanity and mundacity of what every day seems to bring us in 2020. And if I done that and I made you smile, made you laugh, or made you think about something, then that's job done. I want to thank all of you for being here as usual. Join me real soon when we're getting into Osiris Hex with Kevin Shores and Scotty Lopez. I'm also going to be asking the guys about consciousness. Yes, we're going to be talking consciousness as well. And of course, there'll be a whole host of other topics that me, Kevin, and Scott get into. All we need now is you. And you can join us at tfrlive.com. You can join us over on the Disco. If you want to become a member of the channel, come on now. This is your chance. Do it today. Click that join button and you too can have the emojis. Like the Cthulhu, like the traffic cone. I know, a traffic cone? Why have we got a traffic cone? You needed to be around for back then. We might have to go looking for traffic cone related accidents again soon. But from me, your ever crazy host, thank you for joining me today. I'll be back tomorrow with more pre-show woo if you can't make the main show today. Never fear. Always more content here. Keep your eyes on the main Kev Baker Show channel because I'll be uploading the astrology show that we done the other day with Mary Dacina over there in the next couple of hours. So until next time, bon voyage. And you know what's coming next, folks.
Sarcophagi.
And that, keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Yes, Nacy, just the tip.